I can't help but wonder if there's some missteps that the management is making here, because this slower economy should mean big sales for Walmart.
Yeah, you would think Walmart would be doing better in this environment. I mean, sales was definitely the shortfall here. They definitely had some pressure. One glimmer of hope in the press release initially was that second quarter sales are actually off to a decent start. They said sales look positive so far. But clearly, there are things going on. It looks like they're getting some share loss to others. Is it the dollar stores? I mean, they claim that they're getting consumables market share gains, but you know, the dollar stores seem to be doing a little bit better.
Right.
And broadly speaking, Costco's taking some share in the discount space as well.
So they're losing market share to dollar stores. Is anyone trading down to a Walmart?
You know, I'm not sure that people are trading down. I don't know that people ever traded out. You know, I think that the economy's, you know, since the recession, people have just kind of been shopping at Walmart. And look, they blamed weather. There was a 2% payroll tax increase. There's a lot of things going on and headwinds in the first quarter. So it is encouraging that comps are a little bit better right now. But clearly, they're facing some pressures.
Also, they're facing pressures abroad. International expansion was a huge part of the strategy, and now they're pulling that back a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. They're trying to, you know, get things right. I think they want to retrench a little bit and be able to really have more focus on the core countries that they're operating in. You know, get Japan right, get Brazil right, China. These are big economies that they need to do well, and I think they're trying to do that. Doug McMillon's done a good job with the program there.
How do they manage cash? I mean, they bring in more money than God. They bring it down the income statement. They get a 13% dividend growth, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. How do they, when they wake up every morning, how do they manage cash?
Yeah, I think they're pretty good stewards of capital. I mean, look, they bought back $2 billion in stock. They paid $1.6 billion in dividends. The dividend yield's 2% right now. They do a good job. They are investing in international in a big way.
I mean, Liz Ann Saunders, to bring you into this, I know you don't speak about individual securities, but this is why you're optimistic, is key companies, as Laszlo Barini said earlier this morning on Bloomberg Television, key companies are doing great.
And I think generally the consumer's in pretty decent shape. I created an index about a decade ago that's a consumer stress index. It's a bit of a take on the misery index from the 1970s, but has a number of additional components, including the stock market, disposable personal income, and household liabilities, and healthcare inflation, and food inflation, et cetera. And an objective look at the consumer shows that their level of stress is way down versus where it was. And I'm purposeful in using the term objective, because I'm not here to say that everybody should feel hunky-dory and there's no more stress on the consumer, but looking at the metrics that tend to cause an impact, most of them are working in favor of the consumer.
Working in favor of the consumer. What's not working in favor of Walmart are all the headlines surrounding the fire safety standards at Bangladeshi factories. Now, Walmart is not going with the other retailers in signing the safety pact. Why is it going alone, Joe?
Well, I think they didn't. Part of that pact was there's a legally binding element to that, and they didn't feel that they wanted to go down that path. I do believe that Walmart will do what's right and will do things to improve the facilities there. They'll probably get out of some of those facilities if they are falling below standard. But you know, to be able to be legally on the hook, I think they wanted to just give themselves a little more flexibility.
Will we see a change in production? All the textbooks will tell you that there's a transnational production stream or line. Will we see a strategic change, or is this just window dressing?
I think that there's a lot of product coming from other parts of Southeast Asia as well. I'm not sure that you'll see a dramatic change in production.
Well, it's just the latest in a string of problems, particularly international, for Walmart, including that Mexican bribery scandal and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, the company is preparing for a successor. Any idea when Mike Duke is going to step down?
Yeah, you know, he's still a young man. I mean, it's not clear that he's leaving anytime
63
soon.
years old.
Yeah, I think he's got a couple more years left in him.
Oh, really?
I mean,
why all the talk of naming or picking the two successors?
I think everybody likes to make a guess. I mean, look, it seems like it is a bit of a horse race between Bill Simon and Doug McMillon. Bill Simon running the U.S. business and Doug McMillon running international. But and both are very qualified candidates.
Well, you mentioned Bangladesh, which I'm going to call an exogenous or outside shock to retail. Your area, Dana Telsey's area. Liz Ann Saunders, what is the exogenous shock you worry about overall with the equity markets? What's the outside risk we face now?
Well, aside from the obvious, which is can the Fed stick the landing on this thing, the perpetual potential problems that come from some unstable places like the Middle East, I must say, though, more recently I'm thinking one of the risks down the road for the market may be the market doing a lot better from here, sort of the melt-up scenario.
Are we in a melt-up right now?
I'm not so sure an up 16% year, you could quite consider it that, but we're maybe starting to see the beginning of the conditions that would generate that type of scenario, and those don't tend to end well. Trying to time the peak of those things is a very difficult thing. It can take years, but that could potentially and interestingly be a risk, as good as it would feel while it's happening.